Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update. First up tonight, I want to go through some very worrying news regarding this incessant push towards Australia becoming a cashless society. Now, I was sent a very concerning article which suggests that on the back of the Macquarie Bank's commitment, I guess you'd call it, to go completely cashless by next year, that Australia could, in fact, as a whole, be completely cashless or very close to it by as soon as just 2026. Now, this is not a long time away. So I urge you to please have a look at this article and be aware of what they are doing. This is now getting very, very serious. So the article is entitled Expert Issues Grim Prediction for When Australia Will Go Cashless Ahead of Huge Changes Coming to Google and Apple Pay in Australia. Australia could go cashless within 3 years as the government moves to regulate Google Pay and Apple Pay, a finance expert says. Treasurer Jim Chalmers on Wednesday unveiled new draft legislation that would give the Reserve Bank the power to regulate digital wallets, with consumers increasingly ditching cash and embracing tap and go payments. This means the likes of Google Pay and Apple Pay would be subject to the same rules as credit cards and EFTPOS transactions. Finance expert Sarah Wells said the latest proposed changes were likely to see Australia go cashless by 2026. It's the next step towards a cash-starved society, she told Daily Mail Australia. We need to make sure we are not compromising the safety, education and experience of minority groups and young minds in our endeavours to legislate contemporary payment platforms, she said. Finance commentator Nicole Pedersen-McKinnon, the author of How to Get Mortgage Free Like Me, said the latest changes were likely to hasten Australia's move to being a cashless society. It could well do. A cashless society would mean huge disadvantage for the regions, the elderly and lower socioeconomic communities, and is also a disaster for trying to teach children about money. Ms. McKinnon said her own personal spending plunged by more than 1/3 over 3 months when she switched completely to physical cash and froze her credit and debit cards. When her wallet emptied of banknotes, she was forced to stop spending. Pretty simple, really. There is a psychological phenomenon called coupling, which means linking your purchases with payment pain, she said. Cash does this as the dollar detriment is immediate and in your face, so to speak. Digital payments have been linked with less personal financial restraint, which Ms. McKinnon said would be bad for those struggling with money. It's almost like they want people to be struggling financially. They want people to be constantly in debt. It's almost like it's part of the agenda or something. This is very clearly a major tool for control because, of course, once the government controls the money, then they completely control the people. Now, as I said, they want people as indebted as they can, and they're doing that by making it as difficult as possible for people to keep track of their spending. So lo and behold, all of a sudden they're 5, 10, 20 grand in debt without even realising it. Now, as I said on the last video update that I did, this has all been predicted by the Bible. Okay, so people need to take this really, really seriously. They need to keep using cash at every opportunity. Remember, Revelation 13:17 clearly says, no one should be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark of the beast or the number of his name. This is what this cashless society, this digital currency, these CBDCs, the chip in the arm, this is what this is all ultimately about. And unfortunately, it actually gets even worse because there was another article released just yesterday which actually suggests, whether you can believe this or not, that the current generation doesn't even think of cash as real money. I mean, mind you, if cash isn't real money, then I'm not sure what they think is, but the fact that they even think in this way is really very concerning. So again, I urge you, please have a look at this article, and especially if you have children or teenagers, make sure they read this article. So this one is entitled Generation Z Don't Even See Cash as Real Money. Australians are growing concerned the nation may turn into a cashless society, and there's a reason Gen Z aren't helping. Cold hard cash is such a foreign concept to Generation Z, they don't even think it's real and instead see it like monopoly money. Young people are heading online to share how they've had such little experience with cash that when they happen to have some, it feels fake. There's been an ongoing conversation about how cash is mostly useless to the youngest generation, and the way Gen Zers talk about cash online seems to confirm that assumption. One young creator struck a chord on TikTok when he said he was trying to save money, but using cash didn't count. What the? I'm using cash, it's not real money, he reasoned. The comment section was filled with young people in enthusiastic agreement. If I can hold it, I can spend it, one wrote. If it doesn't make my money in my account down, it's practically free, another reasoned. So long as it was never in my bank account, it's spending money, another wrote. Gen Z's confusion over cash comes at a time when the country transitions to a cashless society, with many balking at the idea. When Cairns Regional Council rolled out a no-cash policy at all council facilities back in July last year, it caused local uproar. One local collected more than 5,000 signatures for an online petition calling on the council to reverse its policy, arguing that the changes were not widely accepted by the majority. Similarly, in September, when Macquarie Bank announced it would be phasing out cash altogether next year, following similar moves by Commonwealth Bank, NAB and ANZ to stop handling cash in a few branches, the news met with outcry. Yet if Gen Zers don't even think that cash is real, that doesn't show much of an ongoing demand for a cash-based society. Financial expert Julian Finch said that cash is fast losing its relevancy, and that is changing the economic landscape. Certainly not for the better. Mr. Finch pointed out that Zoomers don't understand cash because they weren't raised with it, and their confusion about it wasn't their fault. Oh, it's not their fault, so it's all good then. Oh, that old chestnut. They don't carry wallets, they don't deal with hard cash, and they purchase everything using Apple Pay or other electronic means via their phone, he said. Mr. Finch said young people are so averse to cash that they can no longer do basic calculations. When they purchase something, the cost is immediately deducted from their bank balance online. They don't even have to think about it. No one is teaching these important basics at school, and this is where Zoomers need assistance to understand the mechanics, benefits and risks associated with the financial digital landscape, he said. So this is really, really, really worrying. And, if this is really our future, then honestly, I weep for humanity, because if these kids don't get the message soon, they're going to actually end up being more enslaved, financially than even those in the deep south were, back in the year 1800. So please, okay, if you have children, especially teenagers, then have these conversations with them and make it crystal clear to them that easier is not always better, and especially not when it comes to money and control. Because, of course, this is how they get away with, oh, it's convenience, oh, it's simple, oh, it's easy. That doesn't mean it's better. Now, I've already got some other important articles lined up for Sunday night's video update that, again, clearly outlines some of these issues with a completely cashless society. So please do make sure you that you tune in, on Sunday night's video. But in the meantime, before then, again, please take this cashless push very, very seriously. Reject it at every opportunity. Use cash wherever you can. Please make sure you join out our Call Out Cashless Businesses Facebook group. There should be a link going up in the description. And again, let's name and shame those businesses that are either unaware of the overall agenda, or worse still, they're supporting it by refusing to take cash. And again, make sure you also join our sister group, which is the Cash is King discussion group. And again, there should be a link going up in the video. And please, let's share these ideas around as far and as wide as we can, so people understand the issues with this push towards a fully cashless society, and that they're fully aware of the dangers of it. All right, so the other big news this week was a landmark High Court case in Victoria that ruled that the government's imposition of a distance-based tax, so that was for every kilometre the cars drove for all electric cars, was in fact unconstitutional and therefore unlawful. Now, this is a huge, huge case. If you haven't seen it yet, I urge you to go and check up this article because there's some far-reaching ramifications. So the article is entitled High Court Rules Against Victoria's Electric Car Road User Tax in Landmark Case. A landmark judgment from the High Court has ruled the state of Victoria was in breach of the Constitution by imposing a distance-based tax on plug-in hybrid and electric vehicles. In what has been regarded as one of the biggest constitutional challenges in 25 years, the High Court has ruled Victoria's road user charge for plug-in hybrid and electric vehicles is invalid under Australian law. The judgment handed down today by the High Court ruled that Victoria's distance-based charge on zero and low emission vehicles was a tax on the use of those vehicles, and under the nation's constitution, only the federal government has the power to impose such a tax. Okay, something that we've been telling people for years. Okay, the case, which began in September 2021, came down to a battle over which level of government had the legal authority. Again, a phrase we've talked about many, many times. The legal authority to impose such a tax on motorists. While Victoria was the only state to have imposed the road user charge as a way to replace lost revenue from the federal government's fuel excise, it received backing from all the other states and territories which wanted to intercept the tax and control the money as they saw fit, rather than being allocated the money via the federal government. Victoria introduced the ZLEV distance-based charge on the 1st of July 2021 and currently imposes a 2.8 cent levy for every kilometre driven by an electric or hydrogen car and 2.3 cents per kilometre for plug-in hybrid vehicles. Owners of plug-in hybrids in Victoria were required to pay both the federal government's fuel excise when filling up with petrol, as well as having to pay the state's road user tax, regardless of whether the vehicle had been driving using petrol or battery power. How insane is that? In the 393-page judgment, High Court justices concluded that distance-based charge on electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid cars was invalid under the Australian Constitution and ordered the Victorian government to pay court costs. Fantastic. While there was no official ruling from the High Court on what will happen to the money already collected under the scheme, last month the Victorian Ombudsman said the state government should refund all motorists who paid their fees under that scheme. As reported in March 2023, the Victorian Department of Transport had deregistered 243 vehicles since 2021 for failing to pay that illegal road user tax. Today's judgment means the Victoria's electric vehicle tax is invalid. It also sets a precedent which is likely to prevent other states from implementing similar legislation, he said in a media statement. So this is brilliant. Now, it is really, really important for a number of reasons. Firstly, it once again highlights the importance and the relevance of the Commonwealth Constitution. As we keep telling people, it's not just some dusty old book sitting there tucked away in a law library. It is still absolutely the highest law in this land. And furthermore, it cements the fact or reaffirms the fact or highlights the fact, however you want to phrase it, that there is a hierarchy of laws. All state laws must be congruent with the state's constitution, and the state's constitution must be congruent with the Commonwealth Constitution. Therefore, ultimately, all state laws must be congruent with the Commonwealth Constitution. So, despite what they like to think, the states cannot just go and make up whatever laws they want to. They must be congruent with the Commonwealth Constitution. And of course, that has many, many ramifications, a number of which we've obviously spoken about on these videos. So it is really great to see this result. It is even better to see that the High Court is actually once again ruling in line with the Commonwealth Constitution. And, I see this as a really powerful reminder that there is still hope for true justice in this country after all. I mean, let's look it's been a big couple of weeks. Dan's gone, the voice referendum failed miserably, and now the High Court is handing down proper lawful rulings. We are definitely on a roll, so, let's keep the momentum going. Now, while we're on the subject of motoring news, I want to share another somewhat concerning article that once again highlights this unlawful behaviour of the state governments purely to just raise revenue, and again is a very clear example of what not to do. So again, if you're a motorist in this country, have a quick look at this article and understand the issues with it. So this one's entitled, Aussie Driver Caught Twice by Sneaky Placement of Speed Camera on Highway. An elderly driver will have to dig deep into his pockets after copping 2 speeding fines worth a total of $773 from the same roadside camera last month. Richard McKay, 84, told Yahoo News he felt cheated by the position of the speed camera and believes it had been deliberately placed metres inside a 60km/h zone along one of Queensland's main highways just to catch drivers out. The Bruce Highway goes straight through the main street of Bororin, he said, meaning drivers are forced to drop to 60km/h before returning to a 100km/h limit once exiting the town. The cameras are obviously positioned so that it catches a car going north or coming south. He says it is sneakily placed just as a motorist would arrive or leave the restricted speed zone area, which he called the transition phase, rather than further into the zone where drivers will have had time to drop the speed limit. He also expressed his disbelief that the camera had the ability to capture both sides of the road and was annoyingly caught twice during his return trip from Brisbane to Cairns. The motorist accepts that, despite his frustrations, he was over the speed limit and he will pay the combined fine. I would urge anyone who knows Mr. Richard McKay to get him to watch this video on what I'm about to explain, and definitely do not pay those 2 fines. It's a pretty hefty penalty, $773, for what's a really minor infringement. It's obviously just a revenue grab by the government, the way it's positioned. Hundreds of people have been issued fines after being caught out by the speed camera in question, with Mr. McKay seemingly the latest in a long line of disgruntled drivers to receive a fine or several in the mail. Local MP Stephen Bennett has been inundated with complaints about the speed camera, telling the Courier Mail that some motorists have racked up 10 or 11 fines, with many particularly unhappy with its position along the highway. So, let's have a look at some of the numerous issues with that particular camera and, of course, the fines that are being issued from it. So, firstly, if you have a look at the site selection criteria document that you can get through the Aussie Speeding Fines guys, it clearly states that a speed detection device is not supposed to be used within 300 metres of a change of speed sign. Now, this, of course, is to stop these exact types of fines from being issued. So it would appear, on the face of it, that this camera may have been placed outside of the criteria in that site selection criteria document. So again, get a hold of the document, measure where the speed sign is, measure where the camera is, and find out whether it complies or not. Now, secondly, and this is the most important bit, especially for those people who've received, 8, 9, 10, 11 fines. Okay, if you believe the garbage that the state governments spout about these cameras, they claim that they are designed to change driver behaviour and cause people to slow down. But how on earth can you change your driving behaviour and slow down if you don't actually know that you need to? Okay, by their own admissions, the point of receiving a fine is to let you know that, hey, you were in excess of the speed limit, therefore you need to slow down. So if you do a trip up and back past this camera and you've committed 2 offences before actually being notified about the first offence, then the whole purpose of the speed camera program has been completely nullified, because you haven't actually been given an opportunity to adjust your driving behaviour, because you didn't get the fine yet before committing the second, third or subsequent offences. Now, of course, if a police officer was to actually pull you over and inform you that you were speeding, well, then you'll realise straight away. Now, maybe your speedo was out and you genuinely thought you were doing 60 kilometres an hour, but the police officer pulls you over and says, no, you're actually doing 70 kilometres an hour. Then at least, moving forward, you can drive it at 50 kilometres an hour on your speedo, until you go and actually get it checked. But if you're not told that you're speeding until 2 or 3 or 4 weeks after you've committed a number of offences, then you haven't actually been given an opportunity to alter your driving. And therefore, all of those additional or multiple fines are invalid. And the Aussie Speeding Fines guys do now have a new multiple fines letter that encompasses all of these arguments into one of their custom written letters that you can use in those circumstances. So please, if you have received multiple fines from a particular camera, or you've received multiple fines from a number of cameras, but you didn't get the first or second fine before you committed the other offences, you haven't been given an opportunity to change your driving, so you need to use that multiple fines letter. So just shoot them an email, just info@aussiespeedingfines.com. Please don't email us. Please don't post comments in these videos. We just don't get to see them anymore. Don't send messages through Facebook Messenger or anything. Just email the Aussie Speeding Fines guys. Send them a copy of your membership. Say, I heard Mike talking about this multiple fines letter. Can you send me a copy? And they'll send that through for you. Now, look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, okay, the whole speed camera program is clearly just about revenue raising. It has nothing to do with actual road safety. And the whole premise and the whole concept of the system actually spells it out really clearly for you. Because as I said before, they don't usually send you the fine for 2 or 3 or even 4 weeks after the event, but they expect you to stay alive long enough to receive that fine and then pay it. Okay, so that proves categorically that these cameras do absolutely nothing to actually slow drivers down at the actual time when they're supposedly speeding and driving dangerously. Okay, therefore it can't possibly have any impact on road safety whatsoever, because it doesn't actually address the issue at the time the issue is occurring. Therefore, it is clearly just about revenue raising. So as always, if you do have any one of these completely unjust and unlawful fines, I would urge you to use that tried, tested and proven 3-step process from chapter 3 of that Aussie Speeding Fines book. These guys have helped thousands and thousands of motorists over 16 years now. So if you don't have that book yet, there should be a link going up in the description. Please make sure you get it. And again, that process works for any types of unjust and unlawful fines. All right, another very quick reminder about our special spring promotion that I mentioned on the last video. We are giving away one of our Know Your Rights caps and a Know Your Rights beanie. So you actually get both. It's not one or the other. We're giving a Know Your Rights cap and a Know Your Rights beanie to anyone who places an order of any kind over $100. So you might order one of our books, you might order some CDs, you might order our seminar DVDs, you might order our home study course, whatever it is, as long as it totals over $100, and we're even including the cost of postage in that as well. We want to make sure that anyone who wants to take advantage of the promotion can do that. We're here to help out, and we're here to do something a little bit special for spring. So just please just go to the products page. Again, you should find a link in the description. Choose whatever you want, bundle it all together, put that order through, and we'll automatically send a cap and beanie out with your order. All right, and then the last thing that I want to do tonight is remind everyone again about our very unique one-off Ultimate Advanced Mastermind Bootcamp that is being held in Melbourne on the 18th and 19th of November. Again, you'll find a link in the description if you want to find out more about what we're covering at that event, or you want to secure your seats. Now, we've had a couple of extra bookings. This is now 50% sold out. It's half sold out already. We're actually selling a handful of seats every week. So this is almost certainly going to sell out before the time of the event. So please don't put off your decision. I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. Do it now. Again, if you've got a trouble, any issues, making the payment, just shoot us an email and we'll work with you. We'll organise to hold a seat for you. We want to make sure, again, that anyone that wants to attend absolutely can. Now, of course, if you have missed any of our other live events around the country, throughout the year for whatever reason, I would urge you to please make sure you grab a copy of our home study course. That is a complete recording of one of our 2.5-day live events. Again, there's 3 custom-made workbooks with spaces to write notes next to every slide from every presentation. There's 17 DVDs, a CD with all the documents that we use ourselves. You can pause, rewind, fast forward in the comfort of your own home. It is a fantastic resource tool that you will come back to again and again. All right, so finally, as I always do at the end of these videos, I'm going to go through some of the latest memes to really get people thinking. Now, just quickly, before I get to that, I wanted to give a super quick update on some information that I think people should be aware of. I know the whole voice to referendum, there's been a resounding no, and that's all great. But it's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. There are some other issues, and we spoke about those in detail on Tuesday night's radio show. Obviously, we've got Victoria that's already entering into a treaty. We've got South Australia that's trying to bring in voice-type legislation. Now New South Wales is getting on the bandwagon, and they're trying to bring in new voice legislation. So please, if you missed Tuesday night's radio show, make sure you listen to that podcast. It has been uploaded now. But here's something from a journalist that, again, it's just some additional information that I think people should be aware of. And he just says, concerning, today I was informed about certain actions of the mobile polling teams in remote Aboriginal communities. Please keep in mind that these are allegations and I'm waiting for more substantial evidence. In cases where Aboriginal individuals lacked an understanding of the voice to Parliament, some of the team members were instructed to simply inform them that a yes vote would provide access to additional services and financial support. Furthermore, a significant portion of these individuals are illiterate, so the approach was to demonstrate how to mark yes. So this is really worrying, and we do actually have some evidence that backs this up, because these are the figures from those remote polling teams. Now, in every single state, we see a resounding no across the board, yet where they've gone into these regional areas, all of a sudden there's these overwhelming numbers for yes. So, something is clearly going on here. Again, the good news is we got it across the line, but again, I think some more things are going to come out as time passes, so we'll just keep our eye on those and we will let everybody know as they come to pass. So on the back of that, this one has been doing the rounds. I think it is absolutely fantastic. Over here you've got your beef stock, then you've got your chicken stock, and of course here you've got good old Albanese, the laughing stock of the world, after his abysmal failure at bringing his little baby, the voice referendum, which failed miserably. I like this one. This is fantastic. Here's the lovely empty shelves, and as it says there, this is where we keep all the conspiracy theories that turned out to be untrue. Very rarely are there those, but as I said on a recent video, not everything is a conspiracy theory, okay? Not every election is rigged, okay? So, again, just keep things tempered, keep things in perspective. Yes, another good one. We spoke the other day about this climate change stuff, and as it says there, me after moving all the climate change books in the library to the fiction section. So make of that what you will. Yes, while we're talking about the cashless thing, we've also got to talk about these self-checkouts that they are rolling out like crazy everywhere. So this is a great little story. I was thrown out of the Woolworths staff tea room. They asked me what I was doing there. I told them I'm on break. They said, but you don't work here. I said, I just finished using the self-checkout, so clearly I do. Okay, so again, keep standing around with those things. Force them to open up extra lanes, and again, you don't get paid to do the checkout for them. That's what they get paid to do. So, wherever possible, I know sometimes we're all, in a little bit of a rush, and a little bit of a hurry. But if more people just took that extra time, that extra couple of minutes to just stand in the line and force them to use, proper cashiers, again, we get the message across that, we don't want these automated checkout systems being used. And I think this one just sums it up really, really well, especially right now. Okay, the government's just trying to interfere in every element, every aspect of people's lives, and they just want to be left alone. Okay, people are just trying to live their lives in peace, and there's the government just sticking their head in where it's simply not wanted. The voice referendum is a prime example of stuff that the majority of people just simply didn't want. So, again, the more we push back, the more we fight back, the more we write letters to our Member of Parliament, okay, and the more we write expressions of our will. That's why we have those My Will letters in our book. Please keep bombarding your Members of Parliament with those My Will letters and make your will known to them very clearly in writing. So I'm going to leave things there for tonight. As always, I do urge you to make use of all of the various resources to please get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. We really do need that this year more than ever before. As I've said many times before, all of the websites that you'll find in the links, there's tons of completely free information. All these videos completely free to watch. You'll find them on the videos tab on our Facebook page. We are uploading some of them to our YouTube channel now as well. And of course, we've got our BitChute channel also. We've got our radio show every Tuesday night. As I said, this week's show's been uploaded now. It costs less than $5 a week. To become a podcast member, you get access to the fully edited shows, the notes for each show, the articles that we cover, all the people that email questions in and we answer those questions, which are all similar questions to the ones that everyone thinking. All of that is available to you as a podcast member. Of course, if you want to go above and beyond that, then we do, of course, recommend our book, the Essential Step-by-Step Manual for Understanding and Exercising Your Rights, that Aussie Speeding Fines book that I mentioned just before, for challenging all manner of unjust and unlawful fines. And of course, a lot of people are struggling financially now, so please stop throwing good money after bad. That these unsecured loans, that's your personal loans, your credit cards, they can be very, very easily discharged with that 4-step process. Again, there's plenty of testimonials on their website, so please grab that book. You can get these all individually. You can get them as part of the combo pack. Of course, with that combo pack, you do get that Know Your Rights tote bag included as a bonus, completely free of charge. Of course, those combo packs will also include, as I mentioned before, the Know Your Rights cap and the beanie, also at no extra charge as an extra bonus. And of course, as I mentioned before, that home study course, it really is a fantastic resource tool that you'll come back to again and again and again as you come up with different challenges over time. So I'm going to leave things there. I will be back, as I said, with another important video update on Sunday night. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you all on Sunday.